Hi, my name is Miss Lydia. Some of you know me from your classrooms. I usually am delivering project-based learning or leading some conversation on a hands-on project that we're going to do together, or maybe you've seen me at Construction Career Days on a loudspeaker telling you what to expect that day. I am the Construction Career Advocacy Programs Manager for the region. My office is right here at ACI, which is Allied Construction Industries in Cincinnati, Ohio. We are going to be talking today about the Construction Video Podcast, the very first. This idea came out of the Rosie's Girls Committee. Now, Rosie's Girls, as some of you might know, is an all-girls day summer camp program around STEM and careers in construction. It is really awesome, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more into the series as we get going, and you're going to get to meet some of the folks that make Rosie's Girls possible. But this podcast is all about construction. It's all about careers in construction and what we do on a regular basis every single day. And throughout the series, you're going to get to meet professionals in the construction industry, depending on what we're talking about that day. You're going to get to potentially go see a live job site eventually. But first and foremost, our conversation, the very first podcast, is all about safety. Safety is so important to the construction industry. It is involved in every single thing that we do from beginning to end. And if we're going to do a podcast about construction, we got to start with safety. And while this is pre-recorded, you are welcome to send us all of your questions. We will answer them. We will get back to you. And we might even do something with your specific classroom if you would like to ask somebody a question directly. We'd love to have a conversation with you. We're always available to speak to you guys directly. We miss speaking to you guys directly. We miss being in your classrooms. We really wish we could have Construction Career Days again this year. And we're looking forward to getting back to our normal programming. But in the meantime, we thought a podcast is a great idea. And we're really excited to get to share with you this morning. So I want to get right into it. We're going to meet some construction professionals that are very specifically focused on safety. We're really lucky to have them. Here we go. We are speaking with a couple for safety professionals from the industry, folks who are either a part of safety or have been a part of safety. And more importantly, these are safety professionals from the Rosie's Girls Committee. We are very lucky to have both of them, not just both of them on the committee, but Kim here is actually the chair of our committee. And I know that both of these ladies are very excited to talk with us today and share a little bit about their careers and also just safety in general. So I'm going to let them take a minute to introduce themselves. Kim, you want to start us off?
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kim Hoffa. I am the Director of Safety for SSRG. It is a division of HTC Group of Companies out of Cincinnati, Ohio. I have been in the safety profession for approximately 15 or 16 years. Been around construction for probably about 18 years. And so, as you're going to see, there are a variety of job fields that are associated with construction. And I'd like to further talk about that as we continue our podcast.
Awesome. Tonya?
Hi, everyone. My name is Tonya First, and I'm the Director of HR and Organizational Development with ESI Inc. I just took a title change as most of my 15 career here, I was Director of Safety, and we are electrical contractors throughout the state of Ohio. And I'm looking forward to explaining to you about all the professional career choices that you have in safety while working in construction.
That's great. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. I'm really excited to start this series, a podcast about construction for students. Hopefully we're going to get to see some students joining us eventually or doing some more live things. But this first one, we specifically chose to focus on safety because everything in construction begins with safety. We start there no matter what we're doing. And so it made sense to us for our first podcast to begin with safety because we know as we go, no matter what we're talking about in construction, we're always going to be talking about safety first, or how we are practicing safety. You're going to see it a lot, even when hopefully we get to go on a live job site. You might see some personal protective equipment, which we will talk about here in a little bit. Just little things like that. So, we're going to begin with safety. And I think the first thing to start with is maybe both of you can answer this question. Why is safety so important? Kim, how do you feel about that?
Um, Safety is critical to self-preservation, actually. You wake up in the morning and you really don't think about how many safety decisions you make for yourself or your family every day. From the minute you wake up, you have your home alarms, you pick cars according to safety reviews, wearing your seatbelt, speeding, rolling through a stop sign, or stopping at a stop sign. um, Getting to work, and you're wearing your hard hat, your safety glasses, and all the other required personal protective equipment, are conscious decisions that your employer sets out for you to wear to keep you safe.
Tanya, why do you feel that safety is so important?
Safety is important for a couple of reasons. The number one reason is because you need to get home at night. We want you to get home
Yes.
to your family every single day in the same condition you came to work or better. So that's our number one reason. We need to make sure everybody is safe at work. And the other reason is because as a business, no one can make money working unsafe. It actually costs us money to work unsafely than it does to work safe. And a lot of people don't understand that. So it actually is better work practices to work safely than it is unsafely.
Why is that? Can you kind of explain that theory a little bit?
So when you work unsafely, bad things happen, right? It's either incidents regarding equipment or people and their lives or big time injuries. And those can be super expensive, if not deadly, if they're really bad. And those kinds of things cost millions of dollars in some cases. So businesses can be put out of business if that occurs, or horrific incidents can occur. So when that happens, businesses don't make money,
Mm,
and that's a huge ordeal for some.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
You want to be able to play ball with your child, or run and do activities. If you have an injury at a job site and you can't walk, that affects your relationship with your children, your boyfriend, your spouse. It affects a lot of things in your home life that you don't imagine that it could. You're not able to help somebody do the things that you normally would do before you had an injury. So I wanted to bring that up, and make that a good point for people to understand that part of it too. I think when they hear it from that approach, they might think again and say, "Oh, you're right. If I can't walk right, or if I'm, break a bone, or something worse, then
Yeah.
I'm not able to function 100%."
Yeah. Tanya, do you have any thoughts on that?
So at our company, it took us a couple of years actually to earn a certification called VPP. And that's something that you cannot do unless the entire team is wanting to achieve that. And when you have that kind of culture where the entire team is like, yes, we want to work safe like this, and this is how we want to operate, that gets rid of that mentality of safety cop. It doesn't matter that we have a safety director because, again, everybody has a piece of safety. It does not matter what your title is. Everybody knows what they have to do in regards to safety for their job, and that's a piece of their job. So we all have to work together to be safe each day and do what's required of us in order to keep each other safe. It's more like the brother sisterhood of just looking out for each other. We don't need a safety cop because we all look out for each other. That's more like what it's like, at least here for us, because that's what our culture's like now. That's what we're moving towards. And our safety director or our site coordinator or our site safety manager, whoever that person is just our dedicated resource that will go get what we need right then so that the rest of the people can do what they need to do in regards to safety each day.
Yeah, in talking about safety this week a lot, I've heard this term, safety culture. That seems to be a big thing in the construction industry. And what it sounds like to me is just that everybody cares about everybody. There is a big part of safety, as I witness it, is yes, it's about self love. It's about taking care of yourself. That's why we wear our safety glasses, is because we want to go home with our eyeballs intact. But it's also about caring about the person next to you, which is this idea of safety culture. We all want to go home and nobody wants to witness an accident. And I think that is just something that's wonderful. And it kind of leads us to this next idea, this next question, which is the basic understanding of everybody practices safety. When we say who practices safety, we know in construction, basically everybody practices safety. We see it whether it's in our offices or on the job site or in the field, which is not a soccer field. That means an active job site where the work is taking place. But one of the things I want to make sure we cover in our conversation is who are safety professionals. You know, we talk a lot about careers in construction, and when we talk about careers in safety, who are those people? What are those job roles? Can you guys kind of fill in the blanks there for us, Kim?
Well, like you said earlier, everybody has a role in safety and for safety. Whether you are just coming in as an apprentice carpenter into the program and new to construction, um, you have a right to stop any activity that you see or any activity that you're going to do, to ask questions, to make sure that you fully understand, or to question what you think might or could be a hazardous situation for yourself or your brother right next to you, or your sister working with you. So it starts out as the anybody at the labor position all the way up to foreman. I mean, from day one, you should be receiving and getting continuous safety training. Okay, so it's any level in the field, it's any position. Okay, you can be even our office accountants who come out to a job to visit, to take tours. You know, they wear their PPE that's required for the job. You know, they trust that the superintendent and the foreman, whose major responsibility is safety oversight on a project, you know, every day, every hour, as Tonya says, you know, we trust that the guardrails are going to be all installed at the right locations where they're supposed to be. This goes all the way up to um, upper management. And again, buy-in starts at the top. You know, you have your companies who are VPP. Um, it all starts at the very top. So safety is from the top to the bottom, from the bottom to the top.
But there's something I touch base on that we're going to come back to here in a minute, and that was you talked about designing for safety. I know you didn't specifically say that, but I want to come back to it here in just a second. Tonya, can you talk to us a little bit about careers in safety and what roles are part of that?
Yes, so it's changed a lot, and especially in my 15 years. So it was just becoming a thing to have a designated person in companies at all, really,
Mm-hmm.
back then, like a safety director who just kind of oversees safety for the overall company. And nowadays, it's almost required on projects when you have a certain amount of people on a project at all. So like if we have 25 people on a certain project, they want us to have a designated site safety manager. So the requirements of safety in itself are still changing all the time. So we have something from a project level, like a site safety coordinator or manager, to a safety manager, if you will, of maybe of those coordinators. And then you have a safety director who oversees all of that for the whole entire company. So there's kind of like a hierarchy depending on how large a company might be for safety. And then of course you have your executive team that, you know, might oversee safety, the safety department. So, but again, it goes back to, like Kim said, everyone from orientation day one has rules about safety and knows what piece of safety is
Mm-hmm.
theirs to deal with and use and be a part of every day of their job, and that does include office. We have office staff who does stretch and flex. We do stretch and
Yes.
flex. We do stretch and flex, which is just basic stretching every morning, out in the field, but we do that in the office too. So you might do it on your own because some people don't come in at the same times, maybe because of meetings and whatever happens off site. And by that, I mean not in the office, but they still do stretch and flex because pulling strains and sprains, that kind of thing is a very common thing. And that's for everyone, not just someone that's in the field. So they do stretch and flex everywhere, not
Well,
just in the field.
I'll tell you what we'll do right now is we'll take a break and let's watch a stretch and flex video, right? One
Yeah,
that is
yeah,
very specific to what you're talking about.
yes.
So we'll play that here. So the stretch and flex video from Skanska is from all over the world. It's not just from all over the world, but it's indoors, outdoors, offices, as you said, Tonya. And that's something that I do every day in my personal life. I work out, I stretch to take care of myself and prepare myself for the physical things I will be doing that day. I know you guys have done stretch and flex. I've seen it before on all the job sites everywhere. Do you guys enjoy that? Do you do it in your office?
Especially as the workforce ages, you find it more difficult. And it
You
Well,
is
feel better.
soft tissue injuries as
oh,
well.
good. Well, one of the things I want to talk about while we're speaking about careers in construction or careers in safety is that there have to be people who train people about safety, and there are regulators, right? Everything in a lot of different industries has regulation, and there are organizations that are recognized nationally to do that. And the big one for safety is OSHA. Kim, do you know the acronym for OSHA, what that stands for?
Occupational Safety and Health
Look at
Administration.
that. See, that's why I have you guys, because I don't know those things off the top of my head. But OSHA is the big one. And in a lot of the schools around the region and around the country, students take OSHA 10, which is the 10-hour training, safety training certification. And there are other levels of OSHA training. But that in itself opens up a whole range of careers, which in the construction industry we refer to as train the trainer sort of situations, where there are safety professionals who train people about safety or to become safety professionals. And we do a lot of that stuff through the organizations like OSHA. Do either of you guys have any experiences with OSHA or want to talk a little bit about what they do for our industry?
Well, number one, they are the biggest resource. I want to rave about our area OSHA office because they are top notch, so well. Anyone in the office there, you have questions, as far as anything goes, Ken,
Yeah, Ken Montgomery. I just got to talk to him this week, and he was talking specifically about all the questions around the pandemic and the job sites and how we've had to make I mean, look at us sitting here on Zoom. We would be doing this normally together, and he said that there were a lot of questions from employees who called the OSHA office and they were overwhelmed with phone calls like, is it safe? You know, what is my company supposed to be doing? And what, I know OSHA is a big resource for a lot of things, but that was the one he really hit on most recently.
Right, and most recently, they've published some additional question answers, and it's very user friendly as far as the pandemic goes. You know, they're put into different sections and make it very user friendly to find. But again, you know, I can't brag enough about our office, our area office, because they are absolutely wonderful and the best resource ever. You know, you talk about the train the trainer. I'm a train the trainer, have been for years in construction. I actually also used to do train the trainer for general industry. And not only OSHA, but we have, and there are a lot of other organizations that offer very specific, detailed training. And then Tanya, you know, it's continuous. You know, you're always learning. Um, you know, right now, I'll give an example of my latest would be a swing stage. Okay, so now before we get on a swing stage, once it's set up like there at the Roebling, I'll go and I will take the design drawings for that and I will make sure and double check with the crew the counterweights, the rigging, you know, everything down to that. So this over the last 2 months has been a focal point for my learning and implementing out in the field because a division of SSRG, two of them use swing stages weekly.
What's a
We
swing
don't.
stage?
It's a suspended scaffold. So, like if you'll take, for instance, on the rolling bridge, right there where the banner is, that's a swing stage. It's a suspended scaffold system. So
Okay, cool.
that's an example of something that I'm beginning to learn an extremely large amount of information on.
You know, I can't have a single conversation with any professional in construction without learning something new constantly. And I've been doing this for 5 years, and my dad's an engineer, so I'm kind of like, I don't even, there's so much to learn constantly. Tonya, do you want to say anything regarding OSHA or careers and safety before we move
I
on?
will I will say I agree with Kim. We are super lucky because we have a lot of sister companies in other regions, and our OSHA office is phenomenal. And Kim Montgomery, he's great in responding and joining us for education and all that kind of stuff. So we're super lucky. The University of Cincinnati has the OSHA Training Institute here in our area,
Yeah,
and they only have a few located throughout the US. So we are super lucky that one is
yeah,
so close to us and we don't have to travel to go to it. So having that,
yes.
they call it the OTI, you know, OSHA Training Institute. But we're super lucky because you can sign up and attend those courses. And
Mm-hmm.
like Kim said, these regulations change and get updated and all that kind of stuff frequently. So if we want to attend or get certified or anything like that in those items, we can easily sign up and attend those where other people have to travel to attend those.
Yeah, and
So,
I know that we do a lot of work trying to actually bring those classes to the schools. And even here at ACI, in my building, in my
yep,
office, right down the hall from me, we host
yep,
a lot of OSHA classes. Like I said, Kim Montgomery was just here
hmm,
on Tuesday.
yep,
So that was the first time I got to meet him in person. But I know our safety director here helps provide or facilitate some of those courses right here in our office. So I do feel like here in our region, we just specifically have a wonderful culture of safety.
hmm,
Um, and there are some things I want to touch on real quick before we wrap things up. And I wrote a note to myself based on something that you said, Kim, which I was brought up at this school I had had a conversation with regarding safety, and that was about designing for safety. A lot of times we think about safety as something we do, an action item, but safety exists in all around us in design, like handrails, like the height of stairs, like the width of doorways and things like that. Can you guys talk a little bit about that? I know that you're not architects, but I know that beyond myself, a lot of people can recognize different ways that we can observe safety in our surroundings. Kim, what stands out to you a lot of the times on a daily basis?
Okay, so when you talk about designing safety into a project, it doesn't matter what project it is. The most critical part of making sure that you're covered on this is for the safety professional in your office or your resource is part of the estimating team. So, like, I'll give you an example of that project when we did a temporary stabilization of the Roebling Bridge last year. It took a lot of planning. You have to walk the site, you have to see what the job is, and you have to ensure, say the parapet right behind me is not regulation. Okay, well then we have to account for anybody being up there for fall protection, additional guardrails, safety rails. Here you've got fall protection anchors, what kind of fall protection you're going to wear and use. So it could be anywhere from working over water. There are certain regulations that OSHA has for you there. There is so much planning ahead of time. Are you working on a building with multiple stories where you have to account for 75 fire extinguishers to be placed? Where are
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
placed? You're 75 feet apart for general industry, 100 feet for construction. There's just a lot of little details that the project team has to come together and know everything involved in that.
It actually, as you said that, one of the things that stand out to me in my office right here in this room is I have a fire alarm in here that has a light. It's red. I have an exit sign. Um, there are locks in this building that I think they're called like fire magnet locks. Like if there is a fire and the fire alarms go off, the magnets are electric and they disconnect from the doors, so the doors will shut. Just things like that are in the building that are part of safety regulations. Um, and you see them and you don't even think about them because they're just there. Tiny, do you have any examples of this that stand out to you?
Um, like she said, it starts at estimating, and a lot of times without your pre-project meeting or pre-job planning or whatever you want to call that meeting, some things might get overlooked if you don't all talk about it. And that even goes, for instance, if you have a job that, I don't know, has 4 manholes in it, which is where we've got to actually go into the manholes.
What's a
That means you might,
manhole?
like, think of a sewer lid. Like, if you
Okay.
pick up that sewer lid and you're going to go inside of that because it's your job, not because you want to. um, you'd have to have tripods, which is kind of looks like it has 3 legs, and that's what you tie off to when you go in it. You might need 4 of those at one time and gas meters to take with you when you go in there. So you got to make sure you have all that before you get into that project, and then that's all things that your safety person could make sure, like a checklist. Okay, do we have this? If not, you've got to buy it. Things like that. So not only inventory, but PPE. Are the people trained? You have to be trained in confined space. So is your team of 10 people going to this project trained in it? If not, you've got to pull them in for training and get that taken care of. So
Wow.
there's a laundry list of items. And then Kim said, oh, well, this project might be over water. Well, now you've got an insurance thing to worry about because there's maritime issues with your insurance. So we could go on and on and on
Yeah.
about the laundry list of things that now you've ticked to be, okay, wait a minute, don't do anything yet. We have to check these things um, before you can start because of all these items under risk that we need to take care of.
Yeah, and I know, Kim, I know that you wanted to say something, but really quick, I just want to acknowledge the word maritime is something that is typically used in reference to bodies of water. You'll hear it every now and then, but I just wanted to kind of provide a little
Yeah,
definition
sorry.
there. It's okay. It's okay.
I just want to add that that's a great example, Tonya, because an estimator will go, okay, well, I just need 1 or 2 guys. No, if it's a confined space, you've just increased your man hour,
Mm-hmm.
tremendously because you need additional people because of their roles. So
Yep.
it's just there's just a lot to learn, and it takes everybody working as a team to, you know, do it safely and do it right.
Well,
You
if
know,
there's one thing that I've learned about construction professionals like yourself is that you guys could talk forever about your jobs. You love your jobs. I know that you do. And I know that we could get really deep into conversations about safety. And if anybody ever has any questions out there about careers in safety or about learning more about those things, you're always welcome to reach out to us and we will connect you directly to folks like Tonya and Kim. But before we end today, I really want to get into the nitty gritty of safety as it pertains to probably how these students will be using it on maybe some hands on activities, or if they come and visit our Spirit of Construction summer camp or Rosie's Girls Camp in the summer, or one of our after school clubs, they will be practicing safety and very specifically PPE, which is personal protective equipment. Now, off the top of my head, I can list some PPE. The things that stand out to me, obviously, are safety glasses. They're my number one thing. Every single time I go to a school, I walk home with at least 2 or 3 on top of my head because I just always have them on, and they just become second nature to you. But this is something that students really struggle with. It's hard for students to get used to the idea of PPE because it's a new accessory. Do you have any advice for students to kind of get over that feeling?
Personally, you're going to laugh at this, but if you were to challenge each student to do an exercise right off the bat, and that is to wear a patch over one eye and try to do whatever they normally do for an hour. Okay, you're going to find that you don't have depth perception. You're going to find, your peripheral has changed severely. So if you realize what it might be like to lose an eye, even temporarily, that is something that you might think twice about in always trying to make sure you're wearing your safety glasses, whether you're doing the activity or whether you're standing next to somebody doing the activity. That's just, I know that sounds kind of,
No, I
kind of,
think that for the teachers out there that are listening, maybe that's a great activity for your classroom to try. Tonya, do you have any thoughts on PPE and kind of getting used to the idea of loving your PPE?
It does take a while, a couple of times to put on your PPE to get into the rhythm of, just like when you put on your shoes every day. This is what I'm going to put on because it's a part of me, just like it was yesterday and the day before that. It does
Yes.
take a minute to feel used to it. Sometimes maybe it's worth it if you can get your, like with me being here 15 years now, I've got my favorite pair of glasses,
Yes.
so maybe if you can get your favorite pair, whether it's a different color or style, maybe that's what it takes to love that pair of glasses, then do that. But obviously, in the world of safety, we've seen a lot of nasty incidents at this
Mm-hmm.
point to where you don't want to do that because you don't want to be that person in that picture with that incident.
You
So,
don't want to be the
um,
example.
no, you don't want to be the example.
Now, one of the
right.
things that we talk about with our classrooms who are getting ready for any project is not only our safety glasses, and we talk a little bit about PPE that you might see on a job site that might not be required for projects, such as a hard hat. Like, we're not necessarily going to be wearing hard hats at school for the projects we're doing there, but a hard hat is PPE, a high vis vest or high vis shirt. I've got my hot pink Justin shirt on. They're very well known for their pink high vis shirts, but we have lots of different color high vis on job sites that you'll see, orange and green. But also closed toed shoes and pants. You won't see folks like with all my big hair down. Usually your hair's tied back, or you don't have jewelry hanging off of yourself usually, so, or at all on a job site. Those are different things that you might see, but in the classroom, we always have our glasses on. Sometimes we might be using gloves if depends on the material that we're using, and we always require closed-toed shoes no matter what. Even if you're coming out to construction career days at the fairgrounds, it's a requirement that we have on our closed-toed shoes. Well,
I'd
I'm
like,
go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry. I'd like to add on to there because you're talking about in your classroom setting or even at home when you're going to do your activity. Make sure that your space that you're going to do your activity in is suitable for what you're going to do. Okay, number one. Okay, you have to pay attention to your surroundings. housekeeping, keeping things picked up and put away and out of your way so that you're able to work on your task the way you should be with adequate room. You know, when you go and visit a job site and get to do a job walk, pay attention. Pay attention where you step, pay attention where you put your hands, pay attention to anything and everything. Like Tonya said earlier today, you know, construction projects change by the minute, okay? And so, you know, those are just a couple of things that stand out to me when you're prepared to do your projects at your house, or, you know, in a garage setting or something like that, and then using the right tool for the job.
Yes. Yeah, that's something we talk about a lot with our students as we prepare for any project, is that we go over what tools we'll be using and why we'll be using them, and some basic safety rules on the space that we're going to be working in. Sometimes we do school projects in the classroom that you're sitting in, or sometimes we are fortunate enough to have a construction lab on site at the school, and we'll go over the safety procedures to be aware of while you're in that space if you're not used to it. But one of the things that I would like to encourage all students to do, and teachers, is that anytime you are preparing for a project, that you actually identify a student or group of students to be the safety coordinators for the day or for the activity. Somebody who you know cares about the entire group, and that is respected by the entire group, that can be that person who's kind of watching and making sure to remind everybody, hey, put your safety glasses on. Because it's so easy, like when this is the first time you're doing this, it's going to be really easy to kind of just put your safety glasses on top of your head, and every now and then you just need a reminder. Like we said in the very beginning of this conversation, safety is not about being the safety cops. It's about taking care of each other. And sometimes we just need someone whose job it is to be that resource for the group. So I would encourage all students and teachers to think about this whenever they're doing an activity with not just us, but any group or any project that is hands-on, to have somebody whose job it is to keep an eye out for things.
Well
So,
said.
thank you. So before we end things, I just really want to thank you guys for joining us today. We're going to get to have so many more conversations about construction, and I know that safety is going to be a big part of it, and I'm really happy we could start off with two folks who are really big part of Rosie's Girls, but also legends in the construction industry, if you don't mind me saying so, because you both are wonderful. We are so lucky to have you, and I'm so happy that you joined us today for this conversation on safety.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that was wonderful. I am so excited that Tonya and Kim could join us today. You know, Tonya and Kim are one or two of so many professionals in safety in the construction industry. It was so hard just to choose two. There are so many people who would love to share their experience in safety with the construction industry with you. And like I said at the beginning of this video, if you guys ever have any questions regarding a career in construction, especially career in safety in construction, feel free to reach out, ask us your question. We will get back to you. And in the meantime, be safe, and we cannot wait until our next episode.